I love Josh Allen. And I had this weird experience, Ken. I think we've done this a couple times over the last couple years where, look, I had Chiefs teasers. And I still, despite and it was I got very happy to win the bet. I was rooting for Buffalo. Ken, I was rooting for the Bills.
Every year you root for the Bills in these games.
I can't help it.
We've done the show the length of this. It's not even a rivalry. We've done the show the length of the time the Bills have been playing the Chiefs. And every time you root for Buffalo, and it's really funny.
Even if I have money on the other, I have money on something else. I find myself not just rooting for the Bills, but I live and die with it. I am really, really, really rooting hard for the Buffalo Bills. Really rooting for Buffalo. But what do you say at this point? And we'll do more on the actual game. Kansas City should have won the game by double digits. Buffalo was so lucky to even be in the spot that they were in at the end of the game, and it's just here's the same exact thing that always happens. Just like Mahomes always wins. This ain't Brady Manning. This is Elway versus the Browns. Except Mahomes actually wins Super Bowls, and Elway didn't, at least in that era. Though a decade later won a couple. It ain't Brady Manning. Manning got Brady. Josh Allen ain't getting Patrick Mahomes. At least not with this guy as the head coach.
This is, if they keep McDermott, this is year 7 of him and Allen together if he's the coach again next year. There is no remote historical precedent for a coach-quarterback pairing that's just allowed to stay around like this, and they just end up making the game or they end up winning. Reed McNabb is the only one in history where it's they kept knocking on the door, and they kept knocking on the door, and they at least made the Super Bowl. That was year 6. And then they lost to the Patriots. But that's it. And they lost the game. There's just nothing historically
and
about
also
this.
made a billion championship games. Buffalo's made one.
Way more success. And that's why they were allowed to keep playing, right? Because they had actually gotten really close to the game. So it's not that you can't win when you do this. Just that usually, and it should have happened already probably, but usually when you get around this time, it's let's try something different. And by the way, Coach Quinn, who do you think they're going to pick in that equation that they want to keep around for a while? So just, it's really interesting. There's nothing predictive about that pairing idea, but it is it's throughout the entire history of the league with 0 warts, with 0 exceptions. And if they bring him back next year, sorry, I'm never betting them. They're not going to win.
I couldn't agree more. And this team's got big time. It's so funny because it was the same conversation we had last offseason, and Allen's so good that he kind of single-handedly drags this team to the postseason into the second round. This team's got major personnel issues also, both on the defensive side of the ball, and then on offense, you see where this Jenga tower comes crashing down when Gabe Davis isn't playing in the game. And it's not Jerry Rice is out.
Diggs drops the pass. That's his last game as a Bill. There's no question.
I'm way good on Stephon Diggs. I'm good on Stephon Diggs and the diva attitude. I
think he's way good on the Bills. So I think you got.
I'm sure he is.
There.
Also, I know that Allen has become a lightning rod, and people are Josh. Everyone defends Josh Allen. He's not as good as awesome. Mahomes. Yeah, he's so the Bills. The Bills did not lose to the Chiefs a couple years ago because of Josh Allen. They lost because of their idiot head coach, Sean McDermott. They didn't lose yesterday to Kansas City because of Josh Allen. They lost because the defense couldn't get a stop and because of their idiot head coach. By the way, how about that fake punt call to Damar Hamlin? Can Baker Mayfield get comeback player of the year retroactively for that horse bleep call? God!
The Chiefs are awesome, and we're going to talk about them a lot, and we have talked about them a lot, but also the Bills, and what is this going to be going forward? Are there changes that can be made where this actually becomes a rivalry, where the Bills can win in the postseason and actually make this, not as one-sided as it's been in the playoff games? Do you think Sean McDermott's the coach next year? How up against it do you think Buffalo is if they want to try to repeat this thing?
Yeah, it's tough, the top 3 cap hits for the Bills next year are Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Von Miller. Diggs at $27.8 million, 13 consecutive games this year without a 100-yard performance. And Von Miller at 14 games, $24 million approximately. Von Miller 14 games this year without a sack. Both guys, if you cut them pre-June 1, would be 31 and 32 million dead cap. So you have to keep them. And I think that's really the hard part when you think about these teams is it's not you can't shed these guys, right? That they're a team that's gone all in on some older guys. And so you kind of have to pray that that what they've gone all in on kind of reverses a little bit, and that they can sort of draft and reverse some of this aging, which I'm just not going to buy into. I like Sean McDermott a lot. I think he does a lot of smart things. Obviously, no one likes the Al-Qaeda speeches and stuff, of course. But I think ultimately he's turned this franchise around. But, Tony Dungy needed a John Gruden. Andy Reid, needed to leave Philadelphia, even though he was a great coach there. It's probably, I wouldn't fault them if they moved on. But we'll see what the Pegulas do.
And Brady won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, and he won them in groups of 3s. He won the first 3 when he was really young, and then he went a long time and he didn't win, and then he won 3 more. And in each group of 3, he won them in quick succession. He would win and then win 2, or he would win and then year off win. They would occur in a small amount of time. And in the first 2 of each of the trios, he won Super Bowl MVP. And in the third one, everyone was sick of that happening and gave it to someone else. And Deion Branch was the recipient of Super Bowl MVP the first time in the third Super Bowl. That was against the Eagles. And Julian Edelman was the recipient against the Rams in the the Super Bowl that you don't want to remember because it was so terrible. And in each of those games, I think the really remarkable part, because you might be like, well, Deion Branch broke the record for receiving in the Super Bowl. That's why he won. Here's Brady's numbers from that game. And as I'm saying this, imagine Patrick Mahomes having the same number in the Super Bowl. So here's Brady against the Eagles. 23 for 33, 236, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think the understanding would be, well, if Patrick Mahomes has a game like that in the Super Bowl, he's gonna win Super Bowl MVP. Cool. Branch was 11 for 133 and no touchdowns. Edelman was 10 for 141 and no. Here's the really funny trivia question. How many combined touchdowns did the 2 Super Bowl MVPs for the Patriots have? 0. They didn't even score a touchdown in the game. You're telling me that the bar is that high? That with Patrick Mahomes having won 2 Super Bowl MVPs already, and we're all kind of tired of that, gonna be honest, and you've got other prominent players on the Chiefs offense who are very worthy of having big statistical games on a balanced team. My big thing here is, I think if it's close, if he has 400 yards, he's going to win Super Bowl MVP. Great, whatever. If he has 23 for 33 for 236 and 2, and both of them go to Travis Kelce, who do you think is going to win? You're going to say Mahomes, you the person listening, and I'm going to say absolutely not. I think Kelce wins Super Bowl MVP. Just to a little more on MVP, I look at the pricing right now and I go, all right, what's there to do? What's left? It feels like this order is at least close. Just, I think a thing that'll be a sticking point for a lot of people who bet or who just care about who wins the award. To be fair, a lot of people just care who wins. It's a big deal for people, whether their guy wins or not. If he gets the 65 games, so if Embiid clears the hurdle that's required to be eligible for both all NBA and MVP, if he gets the 65, do you think he just wins? And for you, it's does he get to the 65? Or do you think there's a realistic path for someone else, even if Embiid gets to the 65 games? It's kind of if you play it out both ways, what conclusion would you come to?
Yeah, I think kind of the best way to answer that question is, assuming that everybody plays 65 games, I have this a pretty tight race between Embiid and Jokic. I look down here, maybe Doncic can have a really great second half of the season. Maybe Giannis can find a way to get this Bucks team to start winning games by big numbers. But those are the only 2 guys that I really see that could possibly sneak in. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's plus 350. Just bet the Thunder to be the 1 seed. That's close to plus 300. That's basically the same bet. I think it's going to be a lot easier. So, like you said, Ken, I have Embiid and Jokic very close. If they both play 65 games, I think it's pretty much a toss-up. But again, you got to layer in the questions for Embiid. So as much as I think you guys did a great job grabbing plus 900, having him the same price as Jokic doesn't make sense to me.